Listening Speaking Task 6, Academic. What you will do in this type of speaking task, you will listen to part of a lecture, you will then be asked a question about it, you will have 20 to 30 seconds to prepare your response, and 60 seconds to speak. How you will be graded? You understand the key information from an academic lecture and convey requested information and ideas clearly, fluently, and coherently. Your response is complete and accurate. You have a barely detectable accent. Your pronunciation is almost like that of a native speaker. You have rare isolated mispronunciations but no evident patterns of error. You exhibit superior fluency in speaking skills, and you do not stumble or stutter as if you're trying to find the right word to say. Using ideas supported by apt reasons and well-chosen examples, you coherently and logically organize ideas. Now, let me just talk to you just briefly for a minute here, give you some basic, let's say, warnings. I've been teaching TOEFL since 1994, so that's a pretty long time. Now, one of the things I'm noticing with the integrated speaking tasks and the integrated writing task is students have a lot of trouble listening to lectures. So you have to be really, really sure that you can understand all the major points from an academic lecture, and then you can take those main points down in note form, and using those notes, you can discuss those things, either by writing or by speaking. So this is really, as easy as this sounds, it all depends on your listening comprehension and your note-taking skills. You got to make sure you hear and understand what the lecture is about, and then you can reproduce that. So imagine that you listen to a short lecture, and then you're being asked by a friend of yours to re-explain that lecture to him or her. So you're going to do it in a simpler manner, and you're going to do it in a more organized manner, so that this person can understand what he or she missed by not attending that lecture. So if you keep that audience in mind, you'll probably have the right organization and the right level of language and vocabulary that you need in order to complete this speaking task successfully. When doing a listening speaking academic task, you should try to do the following. While you listen to the talk, you should write down key points and examples. Do not write incomplete sentences, but you should make sure that your notes are legible and accurate, for you will depend on them as you prepare a speaking response once you hear the prompt. On this speaking task, you will be graded on your ability to accurately summarize what you've just listened to. To correctly summarize, remember the following points. Identify the points a speaker offers in support of the main point. Be careful to distinguish between the most important and the least important points. Your summary should only include the most important points. To help you understand what the speakers think are important, notice which ideas get the most coverage, which are explained most fully. To most effectively use the preparation time, you should plan your response. Think about the important ideas you want to convey in a simple, organized fashion. Answer the question as completely as possible in the time allowed. Now, one thing that I should say here is it's not realistic to think that you can plan your response in the 20 to 30 seconds that you have before you begin speaking, but you plan your response in terms of your note-taking. So it's pretty common. What you might want to do is take a sheet of paper, put the topic of the lecture at the top of the paper, and then put maybe the most important supporting points underneath that. And then once it says you have 20 seconds to prepare your response, then you can use your notes and think about how you want to give that speech. Remember that you want to make transitions from one major supporting point to the next. Here is an example of this type of speaking task. The narrator. Number 6. You will now listen to part of a lecture. You will then be asked a question about it. After you hear the question, you will have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Now, listen to part of a talk in a university class. For the purposes of this lesson, I'm going to include the listening script so you can read along with me. Now, obviously, during the TOEFL test, you will not be able to read the script as the speaker discusses the lecture, but you'll notice that the difficulty of the vocabulary is academic, so the biggest challenges for you really are probably speaking task number 4 and speaking task number 6, both of which are academic in nature. Okay, here we go. Diamond is the name given to the crystallized form of the element carbon. Diamonds were formed under extreme heat and pressure at our Earth's core. The value of a diamond is determined by its exact quality as defined by the 4 C's: cut, color, clarity, and carat weight. The cut of a diamond refers to its proportions. Of the 4 C's, the cut is the aspect most directly influenced by man. The other 3 are dictated by nature. Quite often, the cut of a diamond is confused with its shape. Diamonds are cut into various shapes depending upon the original form of the uncut diamond, which is referred to as rough. Whatever the shape, a well-cut diamond is better able to reflect light. The best color is no color. Diamonds allow light to be reflected and dispersed as a rainbow of color. This light dispersion or color flash has no effect on the technical grading of color. The absolute finest colorless stone carries a D rating, descending through each letter of the alphabet to Z, designating a diamond of light yellow, brown, or gray. This body color may be expressed by the presence of trace elements such as nitrogen within the atomic framework of the carbon crystal. To determine a diamond's clarity, an expert views it under 10 power magnification. In addition to internal inclusions, surface irregularities are referred to as blemishes. These 2 categories of imperfections, inclusions, internal, and blemishes, external, make up clarity. The fewer the imperfections, the rarer and more valuable the diamond. Many inclusions are not discernible to the naked eye and require magnification to become apparent. A laboratory certified clarity rating of SI2 represents the point at which inclusions are technically not apparent to the naked eye. Contrary to popular belief, higher clarity does not always mean more beautiful. If the inclusions are not visible to the naked eye, a higher clarity does not really improve the appearance of a diamond, but rather the rarity and price. A higher clarity is more desirable and valuable, but knowing that you have selected the right clarity for the right reasons is the most important. We recommend a clarity of SI2 or better. Most people compare carat weight to size. The larger the diamond, the more it weighs. The weight of the diamond is expressed in carats. The word carat originated from the carob tree, or Ceratonia siliqua. The tiny seeds of this tree are well known for their uniformity and consistent weight. Traditional diamonds and gemstones were weighed against these seeds until the system was standardized and 1 carat was fixed at 0.02 grams. 1 carat is divided into 100 points. A diamond weighing 1/4 of a carat can also be described as weighing 25 points or 0.25 carats. Points are generally not used to describe weight over 1 carat. And here's your question. Using examples and details from the talk, describe the 4 characteristics that determine a diamond's value. Preparation time, 20 seconds. Response time, 60. Now, the main thing here that you can relax a little bit is, like this lecture, a lot of the TOEFL lectures in the speaking and the writing sections are very, very organized. So it's pretty easy to follow the organization. You'll notice in this particular lecture, the speaker outlines the main idea in the very beginning, and he mentions what are called the 4 C's of a diamond. So it's really important in the beginning that you hear the introduction. So daydreaming is not allowed. I mean, you got to really, really focus on the listening parts of the TOEFL from the very beginning, because if you don't get the beginning, it can cause some problems later on, because it'll be much more difficult for you to follow the most important supporting points if you don't know what the main point of the lecture is in the first place. Here is a sample recording of how you could answer this question. It is learned that the value of diamonds is determined by cut, color, clarity, and carat. First, it is mentioned that the cut is the characteristic most influenced by man. Also, the better the cut, the better the diamond is able to reflect light, which is why the cut makes the diamond more valuable. The second characteristic which makes a diamond valuable is its color. It is mentioned that a diamond with no color, rated as D, is considered the most valuable. As the colors go from light yellow to gray, the diamond rating changes from E to Z, with Z being the least valuable. The third characteristic of a diamond is its clarity. The clarity is determined by diamond's imperfections known as inclusions, which can be on the outside or inside of the diamond. A diamond with little or no inclusions is considered more valuable. A rating of Si2 is recommended. The last characteristic of a diamond is its carat size or weight. The larger the diamond, the more carat size it has. Carat originated from a type of tree against which diamonds were weighed, with 1 carat being set at 0.2 grams. Now, the one thing I just kind of want you to take a look at, now it's a little bit too long, I think this is probably a little bit over 60 seconds, but you'll notice that in the actual lecture itself, there was no first, second, third, or fourth, or last. But this is the note taker and the speaker's way of organizing the information. Remember what I said earlier? Imagine that you're explaining this lecture to a friend who missed the lecture, and this person wants you to briefly give them the most important points of the lecture because they weren't there. So I think the speaker has organized this a little bit better, and it's easier to understand than the original lecture. So, kind of keep that in mind also. And obviously, for TOEFL speaking, if you only mention 2 of the characteristics about diamonds, or you only mention 3 instead of all 4, you won't get a very good score. You want to make sure that you cover all of the most important points from the lecture. It's important not to omit any key idea. So this talk is effective because the speaker has a complete understanding of the academic lecture. The speaker accurately summarizes the 4 characteristics of a diamond clearly, fluently, and coherently. The speaker responds to the speaking task completely and accurately. The speaker has a barely detectable accent. Pronunciation is almost like that of a native speaker. Rare isolated mispronunciations, but no evident patterns of error. The speaker exhibits superior fluency in speaking and does not stumble or stutter as if he's trying to find the right word to say. And the speaker uses ideas supported by apt reasons and well-chosen examples, and has coherently and logically organized his ideas. And there you pretty much have it. This is what we call listening, speaking, academic task number 6. So let me just kind of recap what I just said in this video. So obviously it's important that you can understand the main points of a lecture. It's important that you have good vocabulary knowledge, because if you can't recognize the words that the speaker is using, it's hard for you to take those down in note form. Now remember that once you have these things in note form, you have to think about how you can repackage the notes in an organized, understandable fashion for someone else. You want to make sure you don't leave out any important points. This is why your listening comprehension is really, really important. So those are just some basic ideas of some things that you need to do if you want to score really high on Academic Speaking Task 6. And my final suggestion is, if you're not sure about any other things that you can do in addition to my services in terms of improving your listening skills, I mean, it's just common sense things. When you're watching TV, you can watch a show like Discovery. And Discovery, or the History Channel, or CNN, and sometimes other news stations, sometimes you'll watch a show that focuses on maybe astronomy or history or weather or whatever. But as you watch the show, try to take down notes from the main points of what they're saying. And then once you're done using your notes, orally summarize that information. That means take your notes and speak about it out loud. So that's very, very good practice for the integrated speaking tasks and also for this particular speaking task. Now, in addition to TV, there's a good resource on the internet which has, I think, almost college level type listening activities, and that's www.npr.org. Again, that's nationalpublicradio.org. If you go there, you can do exactly the same suggestion I gave you a minute ago. Is you can pick the topics of current events that interest you. You can listen to the lecture. You can jot down notes, and then you can relay the lecture and check your notes for accuracy and content. And then you can use your notes and record those things loud. Now, the other thing that you do is it's important for you to record your voice. So sometimes when you're summarizing ideas from a lecture and you want to speak about them, use a microphone, use your computer, and then record yourself actually summarizing that content. And then once you listen to the recording, you can critique your own speech in terms of its pronunciation. Make sure you're not pausing too much. You can also check the vocabulary you're using, and you can even evaluate the grammar that you have, making sure that you're using a combination of basic and complex grammar. When I'm saying that, it means that you don't want to use just really short sentences to explain the lecture. You want to use a combination of short and long sentences to summarize the content. And don't give your personal opinion about a lecture that you listen to in this speaking task, and don't put information in there that was not mentioned. Those two things can also bring down your score considerably.